powerful. And so today, we'll be coming from the book of Ruth. Ruth, the first chapter. If you have your Bibles or if you have your devices, Ruth, the first chapter and the third verse. The first chapter and the third verse. And it reads, Now Amalek, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her two sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth. After they had lived there about 10 years, both Mahlon and Chilion also died. And Naomi was left without her two sons and her husband. When Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them, she and her daughter-in-law prepared to return home from there. With her two daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living and set out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judah. Now, go down with me to the 20th verse. And the 20th verse reads, Don't call me Naomi, she told them. Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord brought me back empty. And so I want to use this verse for my topic today. Again, it says, Don't call me Naomi, she told them. Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. And for my topic today, start from scratch. Start from scratch. So we all know this very familiar story about Naomi and Ruth and how their lives were designed to intertwine with their purpose. And the crazy thing is, they weren't even of the same people. You have Ruth, who was a Gentile, so they weren't even of the same ethnicity, and they weren't even in the same age bracket. Naomi was 80, Ruth was 40, so it's like, what did they even talk about? What did they have in common? There was no level of familiarity between them two. And that's the thing with God. A lot of times, when it comes to your purpose, he will not just use what you are familiar with, but he will use what you just might reject. What do you do when God puts your purpose in the hands of somebody you would never go with? What do you do when God puts your purpose behind a door you would never enter? What do you do when God puts your purpose with a person that you would never live with? If he never did that, then you would never be stretched, because God has a way of putting your purpose in places that challenge your tradition. God has a way of putting your purpose in places that challenge your comfortability.
That's right.
And this is what allows us to know that we have to stop putting God's plan in a box. God desires to utilize the plan that he created for your purpose before you were even born. Before David was born, God had already planned that his great-great-grandmother Naomi would have to experience the loss of her husband and her two sons. He had already planned that she would have to go back to Bethlehem. He had already planned that she would have to hear what she was doing in Bethlehem and leave Moab, and Ruth would have to follow her. Let me tell you something. Your environment is irrelevant to God's choice. Your environment is irrelevant to God's choice. God has the craziest way of using the most unlikely people in the most unlikely places to do the most amazing things. And you're sitting there wondering, well, what is my purpose, God? Am I on the right track? So when you are in your purpose, if comfort don't do it, then discomfort is to do what you want. Can I even suggest to you that the things that you are calling the devil is just God using things that you find uncomfortable to push you into your purpose. It ain't gotta look good to be God. It ain't gotta feel good to be God. It ain't gotta make sense to be God. And if we can get this in our minds, that I don't care what it may look like, I know that this is God's purpose for my life. Don't let the area code fool you. Everywhere you go, God is with you.
Yeah.
God is with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
God is with you. Every prayer you gave, God is with you.
Yeah.
God is with you. And they may ask you, sis, how you gonna make it? The Lord is with me.
Yeah.
The Lord is with me. How you gonna stand in it? The Lord is with me.
Yeah.
How you gonna make it through? The Lord is with me. How you gonna walk it out? The Lord is with me.
Yes.
The Lord is with me.
Yes.
Because this is the purpose that He predestined for my life. Sit in discomfort. And so we have Naomi here.
My Lord.
Naomi had no idea that while she was being broken, she was being blessed. She had no idea that when she decided to start from scratch and make this crazy move back to Bethlehem, what the Lord was even doing.
Oh my God.
She had no idea that the bridge to her purpose was this pivot.
Come on.
Those people in your life couldn't stay because the bridge to your purpose was that pivot. That plan that you created in your mind had to shift because the bridge to your purpose was that pivot. Let me tell you something. Your uniqueness will always feel like awkwardness until God shows you its relevance. Hear me today.
Yes, that's right.
Those of you that are constantly wondering why it don't fit and why you don't fit in and why it don't look like what I thought it was going to look like. Your uniqueness will always feel like awkwardness until God shows you its relevance. God is not a God of details.
Come on.
He is not a God of details. And your survival this season is determined by your ability to handle what you didn't see coming. Your survival this season is determined by your ability to handle what you did not see coming. You got to be able to handle what you didn't see coming. Because sometimes God, He don't speak incompletely, but He does speak incrementally. And He will show you things, bits and pieces at a time. And the pivot is not going to be perfect. It's not going to look perfect. And that God's pivot comes in the form of a project. It forces you to have to piece some things together, put some things together, figure out what God is doing step by step. And when God's pivot comes in the form of a project, you got to start from scratch. You got to start from scratch. I don't care what you already done, start from scratch. I don't care what you already pictured in your mind, start from scratch. I don't care how far you got in your own plans, start from scratch. I don't care what mama said you was going to be,
Start from scratch.
I don't care if daddy said you going to take over his business, start from scratch. I don't care what the enemy planned for you to do, start from scratch. You see, God has a plan for you, but the enemy has a plan too. Because the enemy desires to sift you as wheat. But God prays for you that your faith would not fail. I said the enemy has a plan, but God has a plan. The enemy has a plan, but God has a plan. I don't know what you packed Because he wants us to start
From scratch.
It took Naomi being in one place, hearing what God was doing in another place, and deciding to move to the next place. It took Naomi just hearing what God was doing in order to move. It takes an act of Congress to get us to move our feet.
Come on.
And it took Naomi just hearing about it
Jesus.
in order for her to move her feet and go to this next place that God intended for her to go. Let me tell you something. God will never leave you in what's limiting you. God will never leave you in what's limiting you. Because Naomi knew that she had to move her feet. Because a new direction requires new direction.
Right. Right.
Yes.
When it's time for a new direction in your life, it requires new directions. It requires you to be open to a new word, a fresh word from God about the direction that he is taking you. Naomi, what if she had said, oh, that's not me. That word ain't for me, God. You ain't talking to me. What if she had said that? When you tell God that's not you, you're telling God that he's through. And I don't know about you, but God ain't through with me yet.
All right.
Naomi and Ruth, they had to move because it was a part of their purpose. And they knew that they had to go and start from scratch. But Orpah could not go. Orpah couldn't go because she wasn't a part of the plan. Orpah couldn't go because she was not a part of that purpose. If she had tried to hold on to this plan, then it would have caused her life to be in turmoil. Let me help somebody in here. When my purpose is involved, nobody's presence is off limits. Hear me today. When your purpose is involved, nobody's presence is off limits. We have to be critical in our lives when it comes to separation.
My Lord.
When it comes to separation, we are often concerned with how we are affected. But we should be concerned with how they are affected. Because when we choose not to separate from people that are supposed to be separated, and we choose to bring people in seasons that they do not belong, then we affect their heart and their spirit. Because now they're trying to acclimate to an environment that won't even meant for them. Hear me today. When you hold on to your own plans, the pivot can look like a punishment. When you hold on to, hear me today, when you hold on to your own plans, the pivot can look like a punishment. Because you're sitting there wondering, well, Lord, why did I have to separate from them? Why did they have to leave? Why am I going through this transition? Why are things changing like this? Why can't things stay the same? And God is saying, this pivot is not a punishment. This pivot is actually for your protection.
Wow.
Yeah, I know the pivot looks like a punishment, but you had to leave that job in order to start your business.
Yes.
I know the pivot looks like a punishment, but you had to leave that city in order to walk into your purpose. I know the pivot looks like a punishment, but you had to leave that relationship in order to find your true covenant. I know the pivot looks like a punishment, but if you had it your way, you would have never left. Some of y'all are in cities that you didn't even know you was going to be living in. Some of y'all are in marriages that you didn't even know God was going to put you in. Some of y'all have businesses that you didn't even know you were going to be having. But newsflash, God knew, and he brought in that pivot to be your protection. Some of y'all are waiting on God so that he can do it.
Yeah.
So that you can go. And God is waiting on you to go so that He can do it as you go. You're waiting on God to do it so that you can go. And God is waiting on you to go so that He can do it as you go.
Ooh.
When you make an idol out of certainty, you limit your capacity.
My Lord.
When you make an idol out of certainty, you limit your capacity. We're in this season trying to make moves based on certainty. And the problem is, it takes faith.
Yes. Yes, Lord.
We have to make up in our mind, I'm not moving on a certainty. I'm not moving on a certainty. But when God tells me what to do, I'm going to move my feet. When God gives me a word, I'm going to move my feet. When God shifts me in the right direction, I'm going to move my feet. When God shows me what my purpose is, even if it's in Bethlehem, even if I have to start from scratch, I'm going to move my feet. We're in this season trying to move on a certainty when we should be learning how to move on a maybe. Lord, I'm in this season and I'm learning how to move on a maybe. Lord, I'm in this season and I know it doesn't look perfect, but I'm learning how to move on a maybe. The steps of a good man are ordered, but the key word is steps. I gotta move my feet in order to give Him something to order. The steps of a good man are ordered by God, but the key word is steps. That means I gotta move my feet in order to give Him something to order. And in this season, I'm learning how to move my feet. I need about 10 soldiers in this building. Get up on your feet and just start moving your feet. I don't care where you gotta walk. From the wall to the wall. Around your table. I need for you to just start moving your feet. As you move your feet in here, God is moving His feet out there. As you move your feet in here, God is making a way out there. As you move your feet in here, God is turning things around out there. As you move your feet in here, God is blowing your mind out there. I'm moving my feet. 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 It's all right. It's like God. Pray. I don't care what I had in mind. I don't care what I thought it was going to look like. I don't care what people thought I was supposed to end up doing. I need for you to make up in your mind this season that I came to start from scratch. If I gotta start all the way over, if I gotta hear what God is doing and just decide to move my feet, we're waiting on God to do it so we can go. And God is waiting on us to go so that He can do it as we go. But it starts with moving your feet. We can quote that scripture all day. Steps of a good man are ordered by God. My steps are ordered by the Lord. But if you're not making those steps, then you can't give Him nothing to order. We're waiting on God, and God is waiting on us to get rid of the plan that we had in mind. Because when you hold on to your own plans, the pivot can look like a punishment. Some of y'all need to tell your comfort zones, stop looking for me.
My Lord.
Some of y'all need to tell your old plans, stop looking for me. Some of y'all need to tell old generational curses, stop looking for me. Because this season, it ain't what I lost, it's what I left. It ain't what I lost, it's what I left. And everything that's not a part of my purpose, I'm leaving it in the dust.
Yeah.
Everything that's not a part of the plan that God has for me. Let me tell you, God is in the business of interrupting every plan that was ever created without Him.
Come on.
Interrupting it. So you tell your comfort zone, stop looking for me. I didn't lose nothing in the plan that was never created for me. I left it. And today, we make up in our mind to start from scratch. Come on, put your hands together. Put your hands together for a God that took up enough time to make a plan for you. He took up enough time to walk you through this process. He took up enough time to say, I wasn't wrong about her. I got plans for her. Plans to give her peace and not evil. Plans to give her a future and a hope. Plans to give her an expected end. Let's give God praise. Hallelujah.